Woo! Let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about sex. Let's talk about sex. Hey, hey, hey. How y'all doing? Hey, Ish. How you going, Boyori? Welcome to Sunday Soul Session. Oh, yeah. Hey, EJ. All right. Bring it on, my girl. Adding. How y'all doing? Happy Sunday. Hey. Like I had to put this on. Never had. Bit of salt and pepper. Woo. How are you, gorgeous?
Oh, awesome. This is one of my jams.
Yeah, I bet. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about sex. Hey, everyone jumping on. All right.
I love it.
Good jam. How are you?
Yeah, I'm amazing. How are you?
Yeah, really good. Thank you. I've had such an incredible day.
Awesome.
Yeah, connecting with soul sisters and getting out in the sunshine. And yeah, it's been beautiful.
Awesome.
How about you? What'd you get up to?
I had a date. I went on a date today with a lovely man. The waterfall and yeah, chatted about all sorts of stuff. So
awesome.
Yeah, a little bit of talk about sex, not heaps, but
yeah.
not quite the subject yet.
Yeah, nice. Any feelings, any butterflies or? No?
Not yet. Actually, it inspired me, the date, to this might even come up. Who knows? It might come up in this conversation about how when we're dating, often we'll find that we date people who either we are really interested in, but they don't have the same interest in us, or people that are really interested in us, but we're not as interested in them.
Yeah.
And on this date, I started to notice the behavior. So it's kind of like observing my behavior and his behavior in terms of that interest factor and the attraction, and noticing how I've been in his position before, and like a guy has been in my position before, and how I would have acted the way that he's acting. It was really interesting, and how I was acting different. So the feeling was that he was more interested in me, and I could see how he was being a bit of a nice guy. And
oh, bless.
Yeah. And I noticed how much more freer I was to be myself. I felt just so much more free to be myself. Whereas with the guy that I like and I'm really interested in, I mean, I don't know this guy really well yet, but and it takes me a little bit, but it was like I may have acted a little bit differently and had been a bit more careful around what I was saying. And I've noticed that he was doing that. So it was super fascinating. So he's lovely and beautiful. So I'm still going to give him an opportunity, but I'm not like, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I love exploring this kind of stuff.
Definitely, especially when you can sit and like observe it and be really aware of what's going on. Like it can be quite fun to, well, not play with because that's kind of a bit mean, but yeah, I know what you mean. Observe and kind of watch and really notice what's happening.
Yeah. We spoke to a couple of things around like letting a man lead. So this might kind of goes in the bedroom as well. Getting a man lead where, like, basically he organized the date, he organized the time, he organized where we're going to go. And
Mm.
actually during this week, he hadn't set a time, and I was like, I should message him and find out the time. And I was like, no, I'm just going to surrender. Just going to, like, completely surrender. I don't even know what time it is. I know where we're going. And we spoke about this today, and he was like, yeah. I was like, do I message her about the time? I was like, no, I'll just wait. I don't
Oh,
want to. I don't want to
such a
be seem
bloke
like.
thing.
I don't want to seem pushy. And I was like, can I call you on something? And I said that was a story. Like, there was a story that you thought that you might be coming across pushy, because he was like, oh, she's really busy, la la la. Like,
Yeah.
this was really interesting, and I told him, I was like, just surrendering, and yeah, so it was kind of cool to have the conversation about it. But it was really interesting to notice, like, the different perceptions that men and women have around what you should text, should I not text, who should lead, la la.
And I think
So
it's really mixed up these days, because it used to be super clear and now it's a little bit kind of hazy. But I'm going to introduce you first before we kind of dive
yeah.
straight into
I
it.
was like, oh,
So
we're
that
already
people
into
know.
it.
Yeah, let's go. So for those of you who don't know, this is the beautiful EJ Love. And she's like, you're a bit of a sexpert, aren't you? Tell us a bit about you. Like, what is it that you have done and do now? And yeah, what are you up to?
Yeah. So I work, and basically I help people to heal and empower themselves in love, relationships, and sex. And I tend to work a lot with women around relating to men and their sexuality and sexual healing, and also healing from past toxic, abusive, codependent relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And with men, I tend to focus more around sexual healing. So a lot of men that have sexual issues and want more sexual confidence. I work with them mostly around that, and sometimes I work with couples as well. So yeah, but that's the main things. And I work with, sexual healing and tantra and coaching. So I kind of mix that all into one.
Amazing. And how did you get into all of this?
Yeah, so basically, it's a long story, but I'll tell you the short version. Through my own journey of my own sexual healing, through my own journey of my healing my relationship with men, having experienced abuse, both like quite a number of different types of abuse: narcissistic abuse, sexual abuse, and physical, mental, emotional abuse in the 3 different relationships. And I had to go on a really deep healing journey to heal myself and learn to love me again first, and become my own one instead of looking for someone else to complete me. And during also part of my journey, I ended up getting into the sex industry, and I ended up working as an escort. And through that is when I started going through my spiritual awakening and started to heal myself during that time. And then this led me into sexual healing when I realized I was very disconnected from my body. And so I started to get into sexual healing and tantra, and became kind of obsessed with that. and now I've been able to go on and teach.
Amazing. Awesome. Cool. All right. Well, I really wanted to get into and give my viewers, because predominantly my viewers are women who are looking for their lovers. And I just really wanted to have a real jam session with you around men and sex, and kind of gauging a bit more of an understanding, like for a woman, around a man, and kind of what they need, and kind of how to kind of dance and sex with a man in a really beautiful way. Because I think it's really seen that guys are just like, they're just after one thing. They just want to get their dick wet. And I think a lot of it, you forget that there's actually other stuff going on under the surface. It's not just necessarily about a guy just wanting to get laid all the time. So I really just would like to kind of dive into that a bit and hear your kind of expertise on that what's it called? Topic.
Yeah, on men's sexuality. Yeah, I think one of the biggest insights for me, or like something that kind of blew my mind around men, was when I started to really kind of go into like a man's position on what it's like to grow up in a man in a Western world. And to understand how much in this culture they're surrounded by porn, they're not taught about how to manage the sexual energy. They're told to not touch their penis. They're told off. They have to hide their hard-ons, their self-pleasure. They have to, they're conditioned that masturbation is wrong and should be hidden. And there's all this kind of shaming and shut down around their penis and around and showing their desire. And where they go is porn to manage it. And then
that's really interesting to hear, is because it's such a focus on female, like women don't masturbate and women aren't sexual beings. Like it's such a hidden thing for a woman to be sexual, that to hear that men actually experience quite similar, I can't find my words tonight, conditioning and stuff from society, that it's also not okay and has to be hidden, is interesting.
Yeah, and I think it's like we know that it happens, right? We know that it happens, but feeling like it has to be secret. So many men that I see have porn addiction. Like porn is like the biggest industry. It's like $1 billion industry. But men, and one of the reasons that this is because men aren't taught that it's okay to be emotional. And the outlet for them is stress. Their stress relief outfit is often ejaculation, is masturbation. Like this is how they're dealing with their emotional stress, because they're taught that it's weak to feel their emotions, that it's weak to cry, that it's to not be aggressive and things like that. That if you're like, yeah. So basically, their emotions are shamed, and then they're not taught how to manage, and their go-to often becomes like that emotional stress relief through masturbation and through numbing it out through porn. So, yeah, that's a big piece of what I do with men, is teaching them how to learn to manage their sexual energy and feel their emotions, and give them permission to be vulnerable, and that it's safe for them to be vulnerable, that it's not weak to be vulnerable, and to give them other ways, other tools to feel their emotions, and to hold space for that as well. To have a woman holding space for them to do that is really important, because what often happens is that a man doesn't want to show his emotions in front of a woman, because more women are conditioned that men have to be strong and tough and be the knight in shining armor and be their hero. And so it can feel really shameful for a man to not show up in that way. Yet I know as a woman, when a man is vulnerable with me, it's very heart-opening for me to see a man in his vulnerability. I'm like, I open up and I feel safer often. So I think, yeah, and it makes me open up more sexually to a man as well.
Definitely, me too. But I was actually listening to something not long ago by Brene Brown, and she was talking about vulnerability and how, women sit there and they say, we want our man to be vulnerable. We want him to express emotion and show us. But then often we'll come home and they'll be expressing something or some kind of emotion, and we'll be like, well, what's wrong with you? Why are you being like this? Like, why are you behaving like this? And that's them trying to open up to us, and us doing that. It's like, so we're so conditioned to them being the strong ones still, that by us doing that, it's teaching them that it's not okay for them to open up still and show that vulnerability.
Yeah, and so the best thing with that is to actually just say, I'm here for you.
Yeah.
Really simple. Just to let them know, hey, I'm here for you. And it's really important to not go into the fixing, because what a man may see that as is, you just want me to get back to being my normal self instead of letting me be with what's right here, right now. And it's kind of going back to the whole like, and then on the flip side of that, and I spoke about this too on my day today, is like that then a man he starts shutting down, and then she's like, why won't you talk to me? Why won't you open up? Like, he's just so closed off. He's just so shut down. And that's, because of obviously childhood conditioning, but also because of the man's been in a relationship with a woman where she hasn't held space for him to share his emotions. Then he thinks that it's not okay, and then he can't show that. And so he just internalizes it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've so been guilty of that. It was funny when I was listening to that podcast, I was just like, oh God, it was like a slap in the face for me, because I was always saying, I want you to be vulnerable. I want you to express yourself and tell me what's going on and share with me what's going on. And then I was like, it was like a reality check. I'm like, oh my God, I'm actually going against everything that I say that I want. And I'm causing him to actually shut down even more and not open up to me, because I'm saying, what's wrong with you? Why are you behaving like this?
Yeah, exactly. So it's like saying like you're wrong, and so I think, yeah, this the whole wording just "I'm here for you" is then what it does is it gives the man because sometimes it takes a bit longer than women, and I heard this great analogy about men and women's emotions, that the difference between how a woman processes emotions and how a man processes emotions is that a woman is like processing her emotions is like on a rocket ship into space, is how fast she processes emotions, and a man processes his emotions like a horse in a cart dragging a rock.
Yeah.
And it just
Yes.
yeah,
That's so true.
yeah, and so we might process our emotions in like 2 to 3 minutes, right? And it might take him like 2 to 3 days before he kind of works out what was going on. And we're
Yeah.
expecting him to be like, well, tell me what's going on. Like, what are you feeling? What is this about? Like, and he's like, I don't know yet. I can't tell you. And we're like, let's figure it out. Let's figure it out.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah. Just talk about it. Let's just talk about it and get it over and done with.
talk about it.
And it's funny, like, because I think, and because we are like that, we expect them to be the same and forget that they're completely different. They completely function in a completely different way. And I've learned now with my partner that if he is kind of comes home and he's not in a good mood, I'll be like, are you okay? And he'll be like, yeah, I'm just a bit low. And I know to leave him now and just be there and give him space and, hold space for him. And eventually he will actually come and talk to me and tell me what's going on.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just about giving them the space. As they say, they might need to go to the man cave and have their own time. And sometimes it may look like they're not processing it. Like they may be watching TV or playing video games or doing something. And we're like, I used to be like, well, he's not even doing anything. He's not even processing it. He's like watching TV. But like, that is their form of zoning out, because that's a way that they have to sometimes take their time to zone out for a bit, to be able to have the energy to go in like to the filing cabinet in their brain to pull out the thing that they need to look at. So yeah, we process things so differently. And I think another couple of questions that are great is just asking, is there anything I can do to support you? Or is anything that you need from me?
Yeah,
and
I'm always like, what do you need from me? Yeah, and he's like, I just need this. I'm like, okay, cool. And that's the thing.
Yeah.
I think women over exaggerate it and think that it's about them or something that they've done wrong, or we need to know what's going on now. And really, they just need to sometimes just be left alone and given that space and allowed to just freaking process in their own way without that pressure of, you need to tell me now what's going on.
Yeah, because it's almost like we have to be with our uncertainty and be in the void of the not knowing. And that's the scary part for women.
That is the scary.
I know, is it something that I've done? Is he gonna leave me? Like, is it something, what have I done wrong? And men feel this too when a woman's upset. When a woman's upset, a man will often internalize that and be like, what have I done wrong? What have I done wrong? Like, and it may not even be about him at all. It might be about something completely different. But a lot of the times men will make it about them and something they've done wrong. So sometimes we have to reassure them that this isn't about you. It's about my stuff. This is what's coming up for me.
Yeah, definitely. Just want to say a couple of quick hellos. Hi, Katie. Hi, Liv. Hi, Tara, Ariel. I saw Nikki Cook on there. Ishoa, lovely to have you all here. Make sure you say hello when you jump on. And if you're catching the replay, hashtag in the replay in the comment section so I know who's getting to see this message. Yeah, beautiful. So in regards to, like, I would really love to kind of, are you okay with talking about your past and the escorting industry experience? Yeah. So when you kind of, like, a lot of guys that would have come to you, was there did you kind of notice a common theme in regards to what was it?
Yeah.
Their reasoning for seeking that.
Yeah. The most thing I would hear, I'm married, I love my wife, but there's no intimacy in our relationship. So a lot of the men, and not all men were in partnerships, but even the men that weren't, craving intimacy. And
So is that just through sex? Because I know, like, for me, intimacy is more than just sex, but I have heard that men experience intimacy through sex, and that sex is such an important part of their makeup and a relationship for them, that if they're not getting it, they don't feel connected.
yeah, so for the interesting thing is that usually what a woman requires for sex is connection. I need to feel connection to want to have sex. And it's the other way around for men. To feel connected, need to have sex with you, right? So sex deepens the connection, whereas it's, I mean, I don't know who the hell designed us, but why did they make us similar? I don't know. And
it's like,
yeah. It takes up a lot of my time learning all this stuff. But you know, it's fascinating, and it really is about celebrating our differences, because there is purpose to it. And so a man experienced connection with a woman through sex, right? And what I find is the woman needs the emotional connection to feel like she wants to have sex. And so it's outside of the bedroom that's going to create more connection inside of the bedroom. So that's really key. So a lot of the men, when they have come to see me, it was wanting connection. Ultimately, they were like, I want to experience connection. I've spoken to a lot of men that come to see me now as for tantra sessions. That often, what's really interesting is they come to see me and they go, I went to see an escort, and I felt like it didn't get me what I wanted. It was like, she wasn't really there. It was a bit robotic. It was not very intimate. And they start to realize that intimacy is so much more than just a physical act of sex. And they actually are what they're really wanting is connection with self first. And they're looking for that connection outside in these different sexual experiences. And what they're really needing is to actually connect with their hearts, because they're like quite disconnected, but they don't know how to do that. They don't know how to connect to the heart, because it's through the vulnerability and through feeling. What they're trying to do is feel through their cocks, basically, and trying to connect through their cocks. But they have to bring the energy into the heart, and that's what the Tantra practices does. It's just bringing up the energy from the cock into the heart, and being able to connect that way. Because underneath all that sexual energy, underneath all the sexual desire, underneath that is actually the feelings, and the heart is, and the vulnerability is underneath all of that. That's really wanting to be felt. Yeah.
Right. So then I kind of find it curious, because if sex actually makes them feel connected, yet they can go out and just like shag, like go out and just hump like rabbits and not fall in love all the time. You would think it would be the other way around, because women tend to fall in love with anyone that they have sex with, you know, and but we need the connection and stuff before. Yeah, it's really.
Yeah, I think there's different times that I've seen in a man's life where he'll have different things that he does. So as men get older, they seek more intimacy and more emotional. Like it was so interesting as an escort. when I had,
I bet it was. It would have been eye-opening.
It's so funny. I had these young guys, like maybe in the 20s and 30s, and they'd text me and they'd be like, you know, I'm hot and I'm in my 20s, and you're gonna have the best time with me. And they'd rock in, and they'd be just wanting to bam, 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 in this friction base, like release, like intensity, like porn star. This is what they'd be like going for, right? And it'd be kind of like them getting off. Their focus would be on them getting off, right? The older men that were like maybe late 30 or probably from early to mid 30s on, you know, into their 50s, would come in and then want to please me, and they want to make me happy, and they want to be all intimate and sensual. And it was so funny, because the young guys were thinking that I was going to be like, yay, a young guy, when really it was like the older
guys.
Yeah, like, great.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
have a good time.
So this is gonna be far less work.
Yeah.
Yeah, because and a lot of the young guys assumed, oh, you must get like old guys all the time, like the kind of this attitude, and yeah, it's so funny because it's like kind of this ego energy coming in with thinking that I'm going to be so happy that they're a young, good-looking guy when actually I'm like, no, I mean, and this is a generalization because there was a few younger guys that were like a bit more sensual, and so they're definitely out there, and but yeah, on a generalization, and I really feel like what happens is that as men do get older, they start to shift, and they start to really want to focus. And what actually happens is like as men get older, their brain actually, the makeup of the brain changes a bit. And what starts to happen is what he wants actually shifts, and basically it'll shift into wanting more of that emotional connection, emotional intimacy. Whereas as a young, it's like, I want to spread my wild oats, I want to spread my seed, I've got all this testosterone, what do I want to do with it? I need to get out there and like spread my stuff. And it's like really biological. It's like, oh, you know, all this energy to spread around.
All that testosterone surging through their bodies.
Yeah, and again, you know, I can have compassion for that now because I understand a lot of these young guys have come out of just being like puberty and have not. They don't know what they're doing with their sexual energy, so they just want to go fuck everything and masturbating, and they want to go fuck everything, and they want to go. And also, there's this pressure from in the Western culture that you are more of a man the more women you sleep with. Like, you know, if you be with these different women, you're like a man, and around your friends, you're known as the man. And when the men get older, they don't care about that stuff. Like, they're like, oh, I don't even care. Like, sometimes they're happy to just be with one woman that they're in love with. And this goes back to what I said before, about they still require some level of physical touch. Like, it's a deep need for a man to have some physical touch. And what I see commonly is a long-term relationship that starts to disconnect for a lot of couples, which is unfortunate. And yeah, so, and I've been there and I've experienced that in a relationship where I didn't want to have sex with my partner, and I did love him, but I was so disconnected from my body that I wasn't even, and I was so like giving so much because I was working as an escort at the time that I had nothing left to give him. And this is what happens commonly with women, particularly if they're in their masculine energy, is by the time it comes to having sex, they're so depleted because they're using all their testosterone. And they're disconnected from their feminine energy. They've got nothing left to give when it comes to sex. And then they don't want to have sex with their partner. So that's why it's important to women to really work on their own sexual journey and sexual healing and self-pleasure as well, and to not overgive and to look after themselves and self-care.
I've definitely, yeah, and I've definitely noticed that, like, before I had kids was just highly sexual, like wanting it all the time. And since having kids, the self-pleasure is really like pretty well non-existent. We have less sex. We still have sex maybe 2 or 3 times a week, but it used to be daily, you know, and it's just that whole, like, I'm just fucking tired all the time. Like, I've got kids, I've got a business, I'm trying to, you know, do so much, and forgetting that whole self-care. And I think a lot of women slip into this when kids come along. And it's like, how do you, because I know, like, and I love making love to him, and he loves it. Like, he wants it. He will have it any time of day. If I want it, he'll be like, yep, let's go. But it's finding that energy. So is there like a way of really tapping into that to find, because every time you get into it, you fucking enjoy it. Like, it's just beautiful. But often it's that nudge, it's that push to get into it that you kind of need to just go, fuck it, just do it. You know, you're going to enjoy it. And you talked about getting into like the feminine energy again. So how can you kind of, you know, tap back into that when you're so tired all the time?
Yeah.
You know?
So one of the things that's been really helpful, or I'll start with feminine energy, is sensual dance. And even if it's just like one song a day in the mornings, 5 minutes, and just you know, moving and touching the body, maybe even you just touching your hands and moving and breathing and sound. And in there's a great dance program called Dancing Eros, which was amazing. And I've done it 4 times myself because I'm just obsessed with doing it. And one of the archetypes, because they're all about the different feminine archetypes through erotic dance, is the erotic mother. And this is a powerful archetype for mothers because it's about them actually dancing in a way that is about filling your own cup. Okay, so it might be rolling around on the bed and stretching out, or just like, you know, it's this kind of thing. It's like just moving your body to get into your body and get out of the mind. So even if it's just 5 minutes a day, can be really, really powerful. And in terms of like jump-starting your like moment to get into the sex, what I'd be really looking at is environment as well. Like, so the first thing, that environment to a woman screams at her, like she's always seeing the environment. So if you're going to be like, you know, in your bedroom, make sure the bedroom is set up for like where a woman's not going to get too distracted by outside things, that she can be fully present. And then Alison Armstrong, who I absolutely love and adore, in the book The Queen's Code, which I highly recommend every single woman and man on the planet reads, is she talks about jump starts. So it's like, what's the thing? What's your jump start? What's your thing that when someone touches you or does something or says something, it's like you're right and you're like, oh, okay, that's my thing, right? That's something that I really enjoy, you know. So for me, mine is like back tickles when a you know, it's kind of like if I'm lying in bed with a man and maybe we're cuddling up, if he starts gently touching my back and then stroking my back and then stroking my butt, and then before you know, we're stroking each other, and then it's slowly, you know, it's really
it's not a
beautiful.
rollover and a stab in the back with a hard penis.
Yeah. And that's exactly right, because then it's like expectation. I'm not even aroused yet. Understanding that on an average it takes 20 minutes for a woman to actually be aroused, because the top half of her body is her positive pole, and this is what gets aroused first. Whereas the man is the opposite. His penis can be like, oh, ready to go, and he's like ready to have sex. And I'm like, whoa, I'm not ready yet. Like, I need time because wired differently. And I remember when I was younger and I would be with men and they go straight for my, like, they would be pushing and then he goes straight for my, put his hands down my pants. And I'm like, whoa, I'm not even like, whoa, hold up, I'm not even aroused yet. But knowing what I know now about how men are wired is that he didn't know that I wasn't aroused yet. And so I
because he's just like, go.
Yeah, because it assumes that I'm the same, or I'm wired like him, that my pussy's wet and ready to go. But really, and I'm not, women aren't built like that. Like, we need time to build around it. And sometimes that is about what's happening outside of the bedroom, because if there's resentment in the space, if a woman's not feeling heard, if she's got something going on that she needs to express that's not being heard by the man, that she's stressed or she's got that, then she might not even be available for that yet. Okay, there may be something that she needs from that man, and this is when it's also a woman's responsibility to actually ask for what she needs, or to ask for him to hold space while she expresses without him trying to fix her. Because when a woman is heard, she feels safe, right? And when she feels safe, when she feels like he's not expecting her to do, like, to have sex, or there's no expectation in the space, then it makes her feel safe. And when she feels safe, she gets aroused. So the key to a woman's arousal is her emotional safety, basically. It's not any special technique. It's about creating emotional safety. And then her actually asking for what she wants or needs. You know, if a man goes into touch, you know, it's like maybe guiding his touch, or like asking to be touched in a certain way, maybe to go slower, and then keep going with this. It's about how you ask as well, because if you ask like, oh, just touch me like this, or can you do it,
do it this way. You're not doing it right.
Don't do it. The man his energy is gonna feel like he's doing something wrong. So usually what I recommend is to go in with like, it's just to be like, what I'd really love is dot dot dot, insert the thing, right? So, and then a man's like, oh my god, she's telling me what she wants, this is great.
Yes, I can please her.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, they want to know what we want. They really do. They're like, why doesn't she just tell me what she wants? I just want to know.
And that's the thing, I think that we overcomplicate it. Because I personally in the past have been too afraid to ask for what I want to, because I didn't want to hurt his feelings or make him think that he was like shit at what he was doing. But it's the opposite. Like, Gary loves me telling him what I like, because he's like, I want to please you. His biggest turn on is seeing me get off. So he's like, tell me what you want, what you like, what you don't like. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's not alone in that. Pretty much every man I've spoken to and worked with a lot of men want to, like, one of their biggest things is to make a woman happy and make her have orgasms. And it's like, half the time they don't even care about themselves. Like, they just want to, like, make us happy.
Yeah. Because it's just easy for them. They just pump and it's done pretty much. Oh, funny.
Yeah, well, the thing is that men place such a lot of their self-worth on making a woman happy. So it's like an achievement. Like, for them, it's like a proud moment of, yeah, I made an orgasm. Which...
She went off.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, wow, I'm the man, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it makes them feel awesome. And so it's not just about them making themselves feel awesome. It's more so like it's actually seeing the smile on our face, and this is all areas of life. Like, men really do want women to make women happy, and when they stop seeming to put in effort, it's usually because they're not being appreciated for their effort, right? And they just because as soon as they're not being appreciated, they kind of be like, what's the point? What's the point? Well, no matter what I do, it's never enough to make her happy. So what's the point? And then they stop putting in effort. And so I encourage the woman watching this to even just appreciate, even if the man, if he completely fucks it up, appreciate him for putting in the effort, at least giving it a go. And then maybe ask for what you want. Keep asking, for what you want, because he's learning, right? And every woman is so different that, what happened with his last partner is not going to probably work for the next thing, but he may not be aware of that yet.
Yes, definitely.
So we're going to communicate these things.
Yeah, exactly. And have that, not be afraid to express yourself. And it, like you said earlier, it's about the way that you communicate it. It's not so much about asking for what you want, it's how you ask that is really key, because, no one's going to respond to, you need to do it this way. Like, this is not okay, you need to do it this way. Whereas everyone will respond to, or anyone will respond to, well, I really love it when you do this, or it's amazing when this happens. But that whole appreciation thing is something so on point. It's something that Gary and I went through early on, when I first had the babies, and I was just like, he shut down on me completely and stopped doing anything. And I'm like, you're not doing anything. Like, what's going on? I feel like I'm doing everything here. And he just kept saying, I don't feel appreciated. I don't feel appreciated. And I was like, okay. And I had to really step back and look at myself and go, okay, so where am I actually expressing gratitude towards what he's doing for me? And I wasn't at all. And as soon as I made that little switch and started saying, oh, thank you so much, I'm so appreciative. Like, thanks for cooking dinner. Fuck. Tenfold. He's just like boom, 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 and he wanted to do more. Whereas when I was nagging him and having a crack at him all the time for not doing anything, he just didn't want to do anything, because he's like, what's the fucking point? I'm doing all this stuff, and she's not acknowledging it at all.
Yeah. And the thing to know about men and appreciation is that, and this is great because you just demonstrated it, is appreciation actually gives men energy. They have more energy, they have more fuel when they're being appreciated. It's like, and then they're like, oh, what else can I do? Oh, can I do this? Can I do this? That literally gives them energy. So it's amazing. Like, really, it's like a top secret that everyone needs to know.
So simple. Gratitude. It changes everything.
Yeah. And what's really interesting is that what woman thinks makes a man change is that if I get upset about this, then he'll want to change, and then but what a man actually thinks is when a woman is upset, I need to protect her, she's not safe, let's calm her down. Like, oh, calm down, honey, calm down. When really, we don't want to calm down. We just want you to change the fucking thing that you're not doing properly.
Yeah,
You're
exactly.
telling me to calm down, and I'm just really angry about it until you change it.
Just start taking out the rubbish.
When he's like, oh, okay, you're not safe, I need to protect you, like, to calm down. But, and what really helps a man, if we really want a man to change his behavior, and I don't recommend using this, and I ask that when I tell you this, that don't use this to manipulate, and in manipulation, do it with authenticity, is to not come in with the upset, this is not what you're doing, the nagging thing, but to come in with the thing of like, this is the difference it would make in my life. This is how it would make it more easeful for me. This is what it would provide for me. This is the purpose that this thing has for me and how it makes me feel, from a space of like, this is what it, and the man instantly goes, not from like, oh, I'm going to have to do this to make sure that she's okay, because that can feel manipulative. Like, and especially if men have had women where they have used their emotions to manipulate a man and trying to get him to do things, like they're going to be really resistant to that. But if you come from this space of like, this is what it's going to provide for me, then he gets to be your hero basically, and he gets to see that there's a greater purpose rather than, oh, this is just going to like calm her down. And men don't even really think that doing the thing is going to necessarily change anything if she's getting upset about it. So it's more about like, this is going to make her happy rather than, oh, this is going to calm her down. It's like, what's the thing that's going to make her happy? So, okay, doing this thing is actually going to make her happy. Okay, great.
That's what I want. I want her to be happy. Yeah, exactly. And she's going to appreciate me.
And she's going to appreciate me for me, which is going to make me feel like a man. It's going to build my testosterone, and I'm going to feel like there's purpose to this. And it's like all the things that he wants to do those things because he makes him feel like, it puffs him up and makes him feel good about himself. But when you're in the upset, pushy, naggy,
attacking mode,
energy, then he's going to feel like he's being walked all over and he's being what to do, and he's like a child, and he does not want to do those things from that. He's not going to want to do that. No. So you can feel the difference with that, right?
And it's the same. Like, I think if we put ourselves in the situation, reverse engineered it, and we were being attacked or being told that we were fucking up all the time, it would be the same thing. It doesn't encourage you, and it doesn't make you want to actually step up and do more. If someone's telling you you're shit at something, then you just go, well, fuck, why am I bothering? Like, I'm just not going to do it anymore.
Yeah.
So I think it's really works both ways, Appreciation, gratitude is so important.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so important to appreciate, to give gratitude. And I mean, I even did this on my day today where we sat down in the end and we just expressed 3 gratitudes of whatever we wanted to express about, and it was really beautiful. So you can do it with anyone, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Beautiful. So I'm just kind of feeling into, does anyone have any questions? If you have any questions that you would love to ask this gorgeous woman, shoot them in the comments section. I did see he loves great live streams. This is awesome, ladies. This is I can't see that. I don't know what that says. Yeah, beautiful. So let's touch back on that date a little bit and the whole kind of meeting men and that whole allowing men to lead thing, because I think this is a really juicy little topic, and that especially this day and age, like, women are like wearing so many hats, and it's like, you need to step up. And I think so many women, and I was massively guilty of this, was just hanging out in their masculine energy and not stepping into their feminine and allowing that beautiful natural dance to happen between the masculine and feminine. And I think it's really interesting that this was what came up for you today, because I was thinking about it just a couple of days ago, how, you know, because I work with women who are wanting to get back into relationships and find that, and so many of them are really in that masculine energy and not connected to their feminine at all, and really kind of pushing, I guess, well, not pushing, but I really think that energy, if a man meets a woman who's really in her masculine, it's a massive turn off for them. Yeah, would you agree?
Yeah, so what I was talking about today, we actually had a conversation about it, was that what often happens is a woman will come in with her, like, this masculine energy, and will generally be polarized to a man that is more feminine, or she will show up in a way where he'll respond to her energy being more feminine. And this polarization is like chemistry, attraction, it creates attraction. Whereas if you get, like, a lot of these masculine women are like, I want a masculine man, I want a man that leads, that's going to look after me, that's going to make decisions, is going to plan stuff, I want to do all that, right? The thing is, though, it's like, if they remain in their masculine, that's going to create, with a masculine man, you're going to create a friendship because you've got two masculines, because you're not going to create polarity. You're not going to create chemistry with two masculine energies in the space. And sometimes, you know, to create that attraction, if the woman stays in a masculine, it means that man may have come in all like that, but then he starts to go feminine because she keeps showing up in that, and then she starts taking control. So what needs to happen is that the woman has to start.
So can I just stop? So what does that do to a man? Like, does that affect? Yeah, and that's what I was getting at. It's like, it makes him feel like less of a man.
Yeah.
And that is not going to be a good thing in a relationship. Like, he wants to feel like your king. And I know, like, when I call Gary my king, he just puffs up. He's like, yes, I am your king. I'm like, you're my queen, baby. And it's beautiful.
Yeah, he wants to be your king, he wants to be your hero, and we have to allow him. Now, what I see commonly, especially for successful, powerful businesswomen and intelligent women, is that they've learned that to a lot of their value, they've associated a lot of their value and their worth with their intelligence and their success. And so when they go in, they're like, oh, let me show you how intelligent I am. Let me show you how smart, how much I'm not needy, and I can handle my own shit, and I don't really need you. Yeah. They're not even allowing him to show up and look after and be a king, like, because they're like, I'm a queen and I don't need a king, and but really,
I am an independent woman. I don't need no man.
I'm an independent woman. I don't need a man. I don't really need you. And the guy's like, well, what do you need me for then? You don't even need me.
Yeah. And I think a lot of women actually don't realize that you can still be a really strong, independent, confident woman, as well as being feminine and vulnerable and authentic and tapping into that beautiful feminine side of you as well. It doesn't take away anything from your power. It actually makes you more powerful to step into that and really create that beautiful space for your man to feel like a king for you. Because I think if you can if you can make your man feel like a king, that's fucking incredible. Like,
yeah, absolutely, it's huge. It's huge, and that's where the appreciation piece comes in. And so much of a woman's power is actually in her vulnerability of dropping the things that we usually do to prove ourselves. Like proving that I'm intelligent, proving that I'm not really needy, because neediness is being made wrong and bad, and asking for help, you know, asking a man for help, and allowing him to do that, and even when it feels vulnerable to receive his help, because it can feel very vulnerable for someone, particularly for someone who's a rescuer or a caretaker or a mata who's run those roles for safety. It takes a shitload of vulnerability to drop into the being helped, because sometimes that can feel like almost a worthlessness of, like, if I need help, then there's something wrong with me. But actually the vulnerability is so powerful and inspiring, and men are inspired by vulnerability, and they want to give more, and they do get to feel like a king.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful. It's beautiful to see that. And
I
ultimately,
oh,
yeah, sorry.
sorry, I had an incredible experience with that because I was always very much I don't need a man. I'm really strong. I'm independent. I love being single, you know, and I don't need someone to take care of me. And now that I've stepped way more into my vulnerability, and one of my most like incredible experiences in my relationship was about 6 to 8 weeks after I'd had my second son, and I was not coping. I was not in a good space. And there was one day where I'd just gone up to the shower and I was just a mess. I was on my hands and knees in the shower. I was sobbing, just howling. And he just came up and sat beside me and just put his hand on my back, said nothing, and just allowed me. And I've never released like that in front of a man before either. And then he just jumped in the shower, picked me up, and just held me until I stopped crying. And I have never felt so loved and so vulnerable, so seen in all my life, yet so safe and secure. And that just strengthened our relationship tenfold. And that's the power in that. And vulnerability is like, if you can step into that and really trust someone to see you, holy, the intimacy that you experience and the connection that you experience with that person is like, it's nothing you can really describe. It's incredible.
Yeah, yeah, and it's creating that again, that emotional safety, and ultimately that vulnerability is at the heart of connection, a heart of connection. And so it was so beautiful, but it's like you had to really allow yourself to go there and to receive that help. And um, I imagine that he would have felt like your hero for being able to do that, provide that for
Yeah.
you. So,
Because I was just so
yeah.
grateful for him in that moment. And that he just knew he didn't need to say anything. I just needed to be held and I needed to release. And afterwards, I was just like, I love you so much. I'm so in love with you. Thank you. Thank you. And he was just like, he just was, yeah, just it felt like a king. It was a
Yeah.
massive, pivot in a relationship. Huge.
Oh, amazing. Beautiful.
Mm.
And one of the things that I teach men is also that sometimes women just want to be held. And often a lot of men I speak to want to feel like they need to be doing something. I have to do that, and it's particularly in the bedroom. I have to do something to make her happy. I have to do something to make her orgasm. I have to do something. But often for a woman, it's like, asking her, how do you want to be held? And from that being held, that's where the emotional safety is. And then we can have these beautiful moments of bliss and love. And sometimes the man really doesn't have to do anything but just be there. And that's the most thing that most women want in a man is his presence. His presence with his energy, with his time, and with his ears, and just be there listening and be there when we need help. Yeah, and not necessarily have to be doing anything, but just being there. So, and that, it's kind of the masculine is the strong presence, and allowing it helps the woman to really drop into her vulnerability. When a woman has a very present man, she is much more willing to be vulnerable because she feels safe that he's going to be there. I can be
Yeah,
so
it's
vulnerable
true.
to you because I know you're not going to leave me. I can go to the depths of my vulnerability because I know you're still going to be there. And that allows me to open to you more. And this goes the same for the masculine and feminine in men as well. So holding space in our own presence for our own vulnerability, our own inner man, but also a man holding space for himself, being present for himself and his own emotions as well, and then doing that for each other. Now that's a healthy.
Yes, yes, yeah, fuck yeah. Um, so we're back to that kind of just because we got a little bit off track there of the
I know
whole
we
like
did.
the dating and the meeting and the
Yeah.
masculine and feminine when a woman's more in her masculine. And I feel like you were going to go into a point on that before I cut you off and told you my vulnerability story.
Good.
Can you
Perfect.
remember what it was?
It was to do with polarity, yeah, around.
How
So,
it's women feel like they need to be strong or it takes away from their strength and stuff if they're showing up. and they're feminine.
Yeah. So a big chunk of the stuff I teach is about women evolving their inner masculine energy, so that their inner masculine is not immature and needing to control everything to feel safe, which is usually what's going on. Is that as long as I have certainty and control, then I won't get rejected or abandoned, and I'll be emotionally safe, right? So I go in and I create, well, often they'll create some kind of like dependency, even like a lot of women I see have this rescuing tendency and will attract men that they start to rescue, and then this creates some kind of like a dependency, and it's less likely that they're going to leave. And what's really interesting is that there becomes this kind of mother-child dynamic with a lot of relationships where this woman starts to play this kind of mother role, which is also like the caretaker, the rescuer. And then the man can often, and this goes reverse as well, but I'm just speaking more to what I commonly see in the woman that I speak with. And then the man goes into this victim and not being responsible. And so the woman becomes overly responsible, ends up doing everything, ends up like, oh, why do I have to do everything? Why do I have to leave? Why is it up to me? Why do I have to make decisions? But ultimately, there's been a payoff there because it's been the safety and the certainty. And the key to this, again, is vulnerability, but also be willing to be in the unknown and to have a man step up. As just, what do we just step up? And, it's just sometimes you've got to be in the not doing anything and the not unknown and surrendering, where until he's like, okay, I better do something. And then so she has to be really surrendered and be really feminine and not do anything. And until he goes, okay, I got to step up and be responsible, because if I don't.
It's so fucking true.
And almost, I was speaking today about a lot of my life, I've ended up being overly responsible, where I've been quite financially responsible as well. And I've had men that have actually left their jobs and I've supported them. And for me, there was also a payoff because it created dependency on me. Therefore, they were less likely to leave because I had abandonment. Yeah. And then I'd be resentful because why do I have to pay for everything? But then I wanted to do stuff like go out for dinner. It almost gave me a right to be resentful and create separation, right? And then want them to leave, but then they couldn't leave because
they were dependent on you, which is what you created in the first place.
And then what would happen is they would play put the pity card, and then I did play on my empathetic nature, and then I get to be the rescuer all over again. And then
oh God!
Oh, that rescue! I tell you, it's a killer. But now I'm totally aware of it, so it's okay. But I can see and creative boundaries is really, really important. Having boundaries around this kind of stuff. And I was just thinking about today how important it is. Like, okay, actually, I want to take a step back. Is like what would happen is that if I wanted to go do stuff like go out to the movies or go to dinner, I would end up making the decision and paying. And then at the time, I'd be, I'll just pay for it because I wanted to do the things with that person. But what I kept doing was enabling. They're like, wow, she keeps paying for everything. So, and I keep going to do all this cool stuff. And so I'm just enabling the behavior. And I can guarantee if I actually turned around and said, well, actually, I'm going to go to the movies, I'm going to go to dinner, but I'm going to go by myself, or I'm going to go with my friends because actually I'm not going to pay for you anymore. I can guarantee you the pain would have probably been great enough that either they would have left or they would have gone and been like, okay, now I have to go get a job because if I want to do this stuff with her, I'm going to have to actually step up, right? So I think this can be like not just necessarily this scenario, but the pain had to be great enough for, and when I just split up with one of these guys, because there was like three of them. Like the next week after we split up, he went and got a job. Because I wasn't there, so he had to. But when he was with me, the pain hadn't been great enough. I kept enabling the behavior as well. so yeah, so it's all these like it's codependence. It's all codependency, right? So for me now, it's like I'm actually so aware of this over responsibility tendency that I kind of just sit back. When I date now, I really kind of allow myself to kind of surrender. There will be tend to be a balance, right, at times, but more like at the start, it's like sitting back and surrendering more. But it was funny today because I was like, I really want to go to lunch. Like, I really would like to go to lunch. And I didn't really plan this, but we were going to meet at this waterfalls, and then there was this cafe nearby. So I actually screenshotted the cafe and sent it to him. Like, this is where we should meet before to go and thing. And then I was like, oh, maybe I'll just go to lunch by myself, and then he can meet me there. And then it's so funny. He turns around and says, oh, that lunch spot looks great. We should go there after the waterfalls. And I was
Perfect.
like, nah, he actually made the decision instead of me suggesting it.
Yeah.
And so he got to lead. And then I was like, oh, that sounds great. I'd love to.
Yeah. Planting the little seed.
Planting the seed.
Yeah.
Yeah, planting the seed. And then sometimes men actually want to choose something that we want, right? They want to choose something. So one of the ways, like on a date, right, it's getting, let's say, the guy's like, where do you want to go for dinner? You can say something like, I'd really love to go somewhere fun or adventurous, like maybe not for dinner, but I want to go somewhere like that has a really warm atmosphere, or I'd love to go somewhere that's got outdoor dining, right? So this guy's like, it's like giving him clues. Like,
Yes.
He's like, okay, now I get to problem solve. Now I get to put my problem solver hat on, and I get to find somewhere that has this and make her happy, right?
Yeah.
So instead of saying, where do you want to go? And you tell him, this is where I want to go. Like, you know, like you just give some suggestions of what would make you happy, and then he gets to choose. And this is like allowing a man to lead. Basically, he's still making the decisions, but you're kind of putting in a little bit of giving him some clues that because he wants to choose something that will make you happy.
Yeah.
But what I want to add to this, what often happens for a woman is she goes, she'll be like, what can I tell him that he will be okay with?
Yeah.
Like what is like something that would be pleasing for him? Because there's often this innate pleaser in women. So instead of actually being like, this is what I really want. So that goes back to this pleaser that women often have ingrained in them, and even in our DNA, to please to survive. So if I please him, then he'll protect me from the lion and I won't die, basically. So this is in our DNA, is often to please men. And so often when a man asks us what we want, we'll kind of think about, well, what can I, and it's subconscious. Yeah, well, will he want the thing that I choose, or will he like it? Instead of actually being really true to what it is. So I encourage, women on here, just be really true and real with what you want, because men actually really want to know. And whether they like it or not, well, it's irrelevant, because do you really want to be with someone who's not going to want to do the things that you like to, or wanting to make you happy? Yeah.
And I think too, like, I definitely know that having just a little bit more patience, because I think often if you want a guy to do something and they don't do it in the time that you expect them to do it, so then you go and do it, then that makes them step back. And I think I've been guilty of that massively. I'd be like, can you do this now? Because I want it done now. And if I was doing it, I would be doing it now. But if I want him to do it, then I have to allow him to do it in his own time. And that's where I think if you don't allow him and create that space and allow him to do it in his own time, then you go and do it, then he just goes, well, she's going to do it anyway, so I'm just not going to do it at all. Yes. You're so on the money right there. One of the things that I wrote a post called "Fuck It, I'll Do It Myself." Yeah. One of the reasons why women end up leading in relationships is because they get impatient and they go, "Fuck it, I'll do it myself," because I'll do it how I want it and the time that I want it done, and I'll do it properly. And guess what? This makes a man think, you don't trust me to do things, so I'm not going to do them. You do it how you want it, because that's what's going to make you happy. And he won't want to do those things anymore, because he doesn't think that's going to make you happy. Yeah. And then we get frustrated because, like, why isn't he making decisions or leading or this? Because you didn't trust him to lead. You didn't trust him to make decisions and how you wanted things done. So
this comes back to the appreciation thing. Even if he doesn't do it right, like let him fuck up sometimes, let him make mistakes, and then, you know, like conversate about it, communicate about, you know, be really clear about what you want. Because sometimes it's not that he didn't do it right, it's that you weren't clear about how you wanted it done.
Yes. Yeah, so true.
Or there was a misinterpretation in the space. Sometimes it's just a misinterpretation.
That's where language and communication is so powerful, and it's such a topic that I just love. Language is amazing, and just simple tweaks in the words that you can use, and the tone that you say something can have a completely different response and outcome to what it is that you may be wanting. Like, it's just incredible how much language affects, or communication affects, relationships. Huge.
Yeah, and tone of voice is the number one thing that actually triggers people. Is tone of voice, when you change your tone of voice. So it's important. Language is one of my greatest learnings, and I really love it. So
it's so fascinating, and when you start playing with it and really diving into it, it's incredible, and start actually putting in little places like could instead of should, or, you know, get to instead of have, or, you know, just these little tweaks that you can make, and how it changes energy and how it makes you. That's an entirely different conversation. We can't get into that now because it's been like an hour. I could talk to you.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. So I think we should probably wrap it up there before we get too carried away. But my love, how can the viewers find you, follow you, work with you? Like, what have you got going on?
Cool. Well, I have the Art of Loving Men workshops, which are amazing. So it covers like all the stuff we've been talking about, and we get to, you know, do a lot of stuff around inner masculine, feminine. We bring men into the space. If you have a partner, you can bring them into the space to practice some of this stuff and this languaging, and it's really beautiful. And we do some tantric practices and rituals, and it's really, really beautiful work, and it's very healing. It's incredible. So I have.
And where are they? Are they?
Brisbane next week, actually, in Brisbane, 15th and 16th of September. This week, or next weekend. And then I have Melbourne, Perth and Melbourne in November, and I facilitate those two with Aaron Kleineman, who's an amazing men's coach and leader. And also we are running a retreat together in Bali for men and women called the Art of Loving Tantric Soul Training 7-day retreat next year, 15th to 22nd of January. That's going to be really deep and beautiful, and we're going to go a lot deeper into this kind of stuff and do a lot of practices around it, which is going to be amazing. And so all of this can be found ejlove.com, but easiest to go on my Facebook, EJ Love Priestess, and I go to the events section and have a look.
Awesome. I'll get you to pop that in the comment section as well, so that people can jump in there. And you also what? Sorry.
Yeah, and I've got my book coming out too, which is not really about. Oh no, I do talk to the woman, the independent woman stuff in there. I talk, and the rescuer patterns and all of that. I speak greatly to that.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that's called Becoming the One: Healing Your Relationship with the Masculine to Reclaim Your Feminine Power. And it is all about, you know, healing the past relationships with men to be more vulnerable. It's probably similar, like maybe along some of the lines of the work that you do, I imagine. But yeah, so that's coming out in a couple of months, and yes, that's
beautiful.
Exciting.
How incredible! Yeah, that's really exciting.
Yeah, and that's I do lots of other stuff, but that's, I think, the main things that we've kind of talked about. And I did want to suggest that if there's any couples on here that struggling with, maybe some of the intimacy stuff we talked about, I do have a free tantric intimacy practice around conscious touch and exploring, like understanding, like opening and awakening and feeling safe and holding space, all this kind of stuff. That's on my website. If you go to ejlove.com and you scroll to the bottom, it'll say get your free 7-step intimacy exercise at the bottom, and if they put the email in, they'll get that.
Awesome.
There. Yeah, and I also wanted to add something I recently shared with a couple client of mine was that is to create a regular practice of gratitude where you sit together and you tell each other 3 things that you're grateful and appreciate each other for. And it's not about what the person does, it's about who they are, who they are to you. Is yeah. So who they are to you is, and what are all the things that you're grateful for, and who they are to you is. It can be a really beautiful practice, and you can do that with anyone.
Yeah, beautiful. Awesome. Yeah, so I'll get you to pop all of that in the comment section so people can find it nice and easily. But thank you so much for joining me tonight and going into this juicy topic. It was, beautiful. I could just talk to you for hours. It was amazing.
I know.
I can't believe how quick that went.
I know. I feel like, your energy is amazing. I really, really enjoyed. Really feel like I vibed with your energy tonight, so I loved it. Thank you so much, and thank you for doing what you do. For my followers watching this, go follow this wonderful lady, and so great to be able to, kind of work in the same space and to connect and share with each other, because we all have different gifts to share as well, and different juicy bits and ahas, and so I know that you'll. Even I just learned stuff from your sharing, and it's been really beautiful. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. You're welcome. Sending you so much love.
And, you too, honey.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's been beautiful.
Awesome.
Right.
I'll see you soon. Bye.
I want to go.
I know. Don't leave me. See ya.
Okay. Go on.